Pruning shrubs. The best time to do it is not in the fall, because if you do it in the fall, any new growth that's going to generate from your pruning will get killed off in an early frost. So the general rule of thumb for shrubs is if they bloom before June, you wait until after they're finished blooming to prune them. If they bloom after June, you prune them first thing in the spring, just when they start to grow. I like to do it in the spring before the leaves are out, so you can see the actual structure of the bush or even trees. So I call it the bones, so you can see what you're doing. The best way to prune, whenever you do it, is to make your cuts below a V. So in this case, right here would be best. Because what happens then, if you prune it there, it's going to form another V. If you prune it up here, it's going to form a V from there, and then it's going to be very top heavy. So you cut back below a V. If you're cutting out diseased or dead branches, you cut them back right to the base, so as low as you can get. And that's again to cut back on or cut down on spreading the disease or whatever caused it to be dead. Sometimes you have broken branches. Again, if it's broken, just trim it back to the closest green area. So I don't see any broken ones on this one, but say for instance this branch here was snapped off in the wind or something, you would trim it right back to the lowest, or to the closest V, which would be about here. You can also do the same thing with anything that's growing the wrong way. For example, actually this one is growing towards the center of the bush. You want branches growing upwards and outwards, not to the middle and not downwards. So this would be a good example of one that you could trim. So in this case, I would trim it right back to there. This one needs a real overhaul anyway, this shrub, so I'm going to trim that right back to there. Usually what I do when I have a large shrub like this is I decide on how low I'm going to trim it, and then I go around the branches and decide where I'm going to trim each branch. So in this case, because this one's coming out here, and this shrub needs a real overhaul, that'll be my gauge. So I'm going to cut there, I'm going to cut there, I'm going to cut there, and so on. Hope that makes sense.